We are live. NFL Week 7 preview is here. What a time to be alive. Fall is here. The weather is broke. Football is ready to be played. Marcus, how are we doing in this fine Friday afternoon?
Feeling honestly like genuinely really good. I'm excited for the weekend. Got a family dinner tonight. Got, a wedding this weekend. Football is like in full force. The seasons are upon us, like you said. I'm like full flannel. I'm repping shout out Castle Danger Brewery, one of the many fine breweries here in Minnesota. So I'm just feeling the good energy. I'm excited for today's show to lead us into the weekend here. How are you doing?
Likewise. The weather was awesome today. I went for a run down I went for a run outside. It was nice because it was 60 degrees. It was perfect weather, and it gets to be 100 degrees. That's way too hot to actually enjoy. So you were at they used to pray for times like this weather, and
Yeah.
football being here, postseason baseball. We made it. I'm just gonna say that we made it.
All right. You want to let me take the lead on this week? I feel like I've let you start with the first game for the last couple weeks. I'm excited for this one. I wanted to lead with this one. I was looking for my Panthers sombrero to throw on and get some keep poundings going in the chat because what a time alive to be a Panthers fan right now, man. You're won 2 straight. They're starting to build into some of the hype that we had on them heading into the year. Well, I'm assuming you had some of the same hype I had on them to hopefully build off of what they showed at the end of last season. And it was a horrible start, man, but it's starting to feel more of like what you kind of expected from the Panthers this year. And like they're getting healthy. You got Jalen Coker coming back from the injury report this week. We're going to get to see this like dynamic running back duo here with Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, of course, who I do think Rico's going to probably get the majority of carries this week because I don't know how healthy Hubbard is, but I'm just excited for all of that against a Jets team here that is #down bad. They lose in London. Justin Fields. It's crazy to say that might have been the worst game of his career because there's been a lot of them. But I was comparing that performance to the Joe Webb Vikings playoff performance. Like that's how bad it was. And I don't know, man, this one like is all arrows pointing Panthers. And for me, it's like, can they get an actual convincing win? I know they had the 30-0 win over the Falcons. That one felt like kind of an anomaly as opposed to like the majority of their wins since they've at least started collecting some wins have been kind of like, thrilling comeback victories. Bryce has actually been underratedly clutch in the last season-ish, going back to the last half of last year. But can the Panthers actually come out and get a convincing win this one relatively comfortably and actually kind of, really build this into, okay, are we talking about a wild card contender in the NFC? I think they are capable of it. But there's definitely some bumps in the road that the Jets could throw out there to slow them down. I don't want this to be all about the Panthers here. I think Sauce Gardner going against T-Mac is going to be an absolute battle. If you can take T-Mac away, there's not a ton of like dynamic difference making talent in that Panthers offense. So the Jets defense did play better last week. They shut down the Broncos run game. So that's going to be a big fight between the Panthers, who are running the crap out of the football right now. Can the Jets, with Aaron Glenn trying to get this defense to rally behind him as the season goes on, can they slow down the run, take T-Mac away, and put together a good enough defensive performance, in which case then you're looking at Justin Fields. Can he bounce back? There's really no signs to say that he can. Obviously, he played pretty well in week 1. Obviously, I'm not the highest on Justin Fields, but we are talking about a Panthers defense that is on a pretty historic run of the opposing quarterback like having his best game of the season against this defense. So can the defense play well? And then can Justin Fields, have an adequate day? That would be their path to success. But Garrett Wilson's out in this game. Like I'm all Panthers in this one. I will be betting Panthers and letting that one ride. Keep pounding, baby.
I'm with you on that. I am with the Panthers. I do want to note the Panthers have had a substantial difference between who they are as a home team and who they are as an away team. And for reference, away, they got beat by Jacksonville in week 1, 26-10. In week 2, they got beat by the Cardinals 27-22. And then in week 4, they got beat by the Patriots 42-13. Now at home, they obviously shut out the Falcons 30-0. That was a huge, huge game in week 3. They beat the Dolphins 27-24, and they beat the Cowboys last week 30-27. They've been running the hell out of the football. And by the way, I do have a super chat here from Samuel. He asks thoughts on Tet usage rest of the season. I mean, there's a chance that, Tet keeps going. The offensive rookie of the year conversation is not completely out of the way for him based on, the usage that he is currently and where I think he will be by season's end, because the touchdown that he had last week where he pivoted, he planted his foot down and then pivoted out. That to me was why I comped him to Drake London coming out last year. If you saw the play, it was a hell of a play. But I'm with you. I think the Panthers win. I just simply do not trust the Jets to score enough points to win. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Jets get their first one of the Aaron Glenn era. But the Jets or the Panthers, this is a game this week. By the way, do you know what the spread is for this game? Do you know?
Oh, I forgot to put the graphic up. Sorry about that.
All good. So Panthers favored by 1.5. I would probably not touch this game, just being completely honest. You can sway me either way, but I will lean the Panthers with this one.
All right. Yeah, I'm betting this one. Maybe I'm a Panthers homer at this point, but I think all signs are pointing Panthers. And there's been a couple games in recent weeks. I think it was the Cowboys had, I don't remember which, it was a bad opponent, and the Patriots Saints game. And I've had the analysis of like, what does Vegas know? Why is this spread so close? And then the team that I thought was way better ended up covering that spread. So and this is when it's going to swing back the other way and the Jets win this game, obviously. But I'm going to back Carolina. All right. Where are you going next?
We're going to London, baby. Rams Jags. And this is an interesting game. I heard this fact this morning that I want to say there's been 40 plus London games in the past like 10 to 15 years. This is the second game where both teams have winning records. So that's very interesting. I thought that had to be noted. Now, a couple of other things that I do want to note, the Jags obviously have experience traveling to London. They're kind of, it's kind of like their second home, if you will. And they play there every year. The reason I bring that up and the reason I think this should be noted is the Jags have been over there all week. I feel like the Jags have obviously more of an expertise here, if you will, in traveling to London every year and what the body adjustment should be. And there's also a human element to this. The Rams, for reference, are not traveling till Saturday. The Rams also practice all week at Camden Yards in Baltimore, which, by the way, is an awesome MLB stadium. If you haven't been, highly recommend. But there's also, because the offense and defense were like out there at the same time, so the Rams couldn't like practice like true like deep passing plays from what I read. And that's just a weird situation. So I feel like there's limitations already within the week of practice. There's just weird things. I don't know, man. There's a weird thing about the Rams heading into this game. There also no Puka Nacua. That, of course, has to be mentioned, obviously. I do worry about the Jags offensive line against the Rams. Jared Verse is really, really starting to get going. And the Jags defense, I want to choose my words wisely here, or carefully, because the Jags defense in the first 4 games of the year, the way Anthony Campanelli had them just forcing turnovers, drive after drive, was phenomenal. But they didn't force a turnover last week. They did hold the Seahawks to 20 points, but they lost. And I worry about Trevor Lawrence, especially under pressure against the Rams defense. I did at least want to note the travel part, but ultimately, I think the Rams defensive line is going to be too much for the Jags offensive line to handle, and I'm going to go with the Rams to win this game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the D-line. The Jags really struggled with stunts last week, and that's what this Rams defense is going to throw at them. Because this was your game, I didn't check the injury report, but a big one here is their starting center. Is he playing? Because I know he was out, the Jags. He was out last week against the Seahawks, Robert Hainsey.
Was it Hainsey? Let's take a look.
You can check. Why don't you check that while I talk here? But that's a big deal. I mean, you could tell with the backup center in there, their communication was just completely busted. So if Hainsey's playing, that would be a big deal for the Jags. I like what you said about the travel stuff too. Pretty like they're going to the other side of the globe, basically. The Rams, where the Jags been out there all week. I like the Jags this week. I do. I made that video about them, and they turn around and lose to the Seahawks, of course. But I do think this is a good football team. I think these receivers for Jacksonville can take advantage of the Rams' questionable secondary as long as they can just get adequate pass protection. Which did you find an answer on Hainsey for me?
Jags return. They're eyeing a return for Robert Hainsey against the Rams. Devin Lloyd is out, who's obviously playing at a DPOY level. So that also plays into the Rams.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go Jags then with Hainsey coming back. I think their offensive line has played very well this season, and they've played well like as a unit, like in terms of picking up blitzes and having a good protection plan. So I think getting the starting center back is going to help there. And I'll go Jags in a very fun London game.
By the way, I'm kind of Londoned out with all the games that we've had, but this is going to be a good game. I'm just the 9:30 to midnight is a lot, but it's football, and when May 13th rolls around, I wish that we'd have a London game. But this is going to be a hell of a London game.
Yeah, as a late riser, they start to stack up. Like I didn't get up for the Jets Broncos game. I'll be honest, I was watching that one on replay.
You didn't miss a lot.
Yeah, it was a quick one. All right, let's go to Kansas City with the Raiders Chiefs. This has, for the last 3 times, been an interesting kind of scrappy game that maybe didn't you wouldn't have necessarily predicted it. I went back and looked. So the last 3 times these teams met, you had Chiefs win 19-17. I think that was the one where there was like a fumbled snap, like right before the Raiders were going to kick a game-winning field goal. You had a 27-20 one-score victory from the Chiefs, and then you had a 20-14 victory for the Raiders. So these guys have been almost perfectly evenly matched in their last 3 games. But the narrative of this year's Chiefs team has obviously been different, with more explosiveness on offense, and a lot of people saying, myself included, that this is actually the best version of the Chiefs that we've seen for a couple of years, or at least the highest upside version. So the question is going to be, can the Raiders slow that down with a defense that has been porous, to say the least, this season? Had some success against the Titans last week, but who doesn't have success against the Titans? So I'm curious to see where that lands. Was that an awakening for the defense, that to their credit, they were flying around, they were playing fast, they were playing good team defense? Or is it literally just, it's the Titans, of course they were going to play well. So if they can slow the Chiefs down, then you need Geno to settle in and play well. I mean, they're 12.5-point underdogs in this game for a reason. This is the type of game where you're talking about, can the Raiders cover or not? I think most people are going to pick the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs, and I think it's going to be a pretty impressive showing from Mahomes, who I think is playing at the peak of his powers right now. And I just don't, especially with Brock Bowers out, I just don't trust the infrastructure of the Raiders offense right now. And Geno feels like a 2 turnover worthy game, 2 turnover play game waiting to happen.
I would agree. And that's, there was part of me when you were talking, I was like, you know what, can I convince myself of the Raiders to cover? And I'm with you. Jacoby Myers is news all the time, or he's in the news all the time for the trade. And then, like you said, Brock Bowers is out. I mean, it's going to be pretty much, hey, let's bottle Ashton Genty up. Let's force Geno, who's been a turnover machine this year, to beat us. And maybe 12 points is a lot. Maybe they cover. But I would imagine that 90, probably 5% plus people are going to choose the Chiefs to win. And if you do choose the Raiders to win, credit where it's due. But this is going to be a tough game for the Raiders, obviously. And the Chiefs are getting Rashee Rice back. Although I do want to note this. I think it's kind of funny the way that they're talking about Rashee Rice coming back. Like, it's like, hey, it's like, it's not like he's coming back from like a major injury here. He's coming back from, off the field. Just leave it at that. But anyway, I did at least want to note that. So anyway, Bears Saints is up. This is a very interesting game. And we have, from back at the Oklahoma days, we have Caleb Williams versus Spencer Rattler. We also have what's up?
I was saying, hey, good callback. Good shout out.
Yeah, 2020. We also have a 2024 quarterback draft class. Spencer was the 7th quarterback selected. Caleb, of course, was 1-1. Rattler, look, he looked awesome last week. There were multiple big throws that he had against the Patriots. The one to Olave in the very first play of the game kind of set the tone, right? It was a big 50-plus yard play down the sideline. And then there was also a play with 2 minutes left where Rattler was throwing from far hash. Olave was he was running it out and up, if you will. And Rattler placed the ball where his hands were like fully extended. And I know there's going to be people that basically say, oh, if it hits your you touches your fingers, you better catch it. You're an NFL receiver. It would have been a tough play. But
Mhm.
Rattler's been playing really good football, and I'll be eager to see how the Bears go against this, just because the Saints run game has also struggled. They've ran for less than 100 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. And this is also a Dennis Allen versus the Saints game. Now, say what you want about Dennis Allen as a head coach. You have every right to say that he was a bad head coach, and you'd be right. But going against his former team, I think there's something there. I think that definitely has to be noted, especially with a young quarterback in Spencer Rattler. And look, I know he's played well, but I mean, there's tendencies that Dennis Allen's naturally going to know from seeing him every day at practice. There's also Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are they're not bad, but they're certainly not what we saw last night between Jamar and T. Higgins. So the Saints are very beatable in this game, but this is also it's a perfect letdown spot for the Bears. And we each called the Bears win last week over Washington. I did see a comment that said, not surprisingly, the 2 biggest Commanders haters are picking the Bears to win. The Bears won, by the way, but so credit to us, words due.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I'm definitely just breaking balls. But look, this is a letdown spot for the Bears. I have one. I don't know if complaint's the word. That's a loud word. I have one thing that I would like to see less of, and that's Olamide Zaccheaus. I would like to see Rome Odunze, the player you selected in the top 10 last year, get more targets. I mean, their target share right now is right around the same. Get Rome involved, get Luther Bird more involved. I'm a little Olamide Zaccheaus out at this point. The Bears, when I was watching the game last week, I really thought that they ran for more yards. They ran for 145 yards last week. I thought it was honestly in the 170 to 180 area, but they did a really good job of what's up. Oh yeah.
A lot of good screens.
I thought that, could this be the sign of something? We're going up against a much better run defense this week. We'll see how it all goes out, but I'm looking forward to this one. I think the Saints cover. I think Bears win. And I would say it's going to be something like 24-20. 5.5 points is a lot of points. Spencer Rattler is also, like we said, playing really good. And I think the Bears are going to come out on top, but I do think the Saints cover.
Yeah. Saints have been frisky this year. They deserve a lot of credit. They've been way more competitive than I expected. I thought they would just get boat raced every week. And the run defense has been a big part of that. So with the Bears coming off a big week running the football, the Saints are 8th in rush defense DVOA right now, which is pretty freaking crazy. Like everybody's kind of contributing up front. They got a lot of size and experience there. So if they can force this into a, 3rd and pass, Caleb Williams has to win the game situation, maybe they could pull the upset. But yeah, you need Spencer Rattler to keep playing well against a pretty shaky Bears defense. It's certainly possible. I like what you said. This is a potential letdown game for the Bears after a big game against Washington. I'm going to pick them to win, but I would definitely stay away from that spread. I think the Bears got to be careful here.
This is one of the spreads I feel like heading into the week, it's too easy. And then it's like you get to Sunday and it's 27-20 final, Bears win, or just something like that. I feel like this is too easy where it's like, but anyway, look, I'm low key buying into, I'm not low key. I'm buying into Spencer Rattler, at least right now for the remainder of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Low key buying in is well said. It's just kind of like he's playing well. Do I think he'll keep it up? Probably not, but there's no reason to have any big takes about it because, there's no reason to really make a change if he's playing well, and we'll just reassess it at the end of the year, I think. All right, so I'm going to go to, if you like defensive football, this game is for you, Giants and Broncos. Not that the Giants defense has been outstanding, but there's a lot of fun pieces on that defense to watch, obviously, especially that D line. What do you think, if you don't know it, what do you think the over-under is in this game?
Oh, man. I'm going to say, I'll say 38.5.
It's a little higher. It's 41. So I like the under in this one. I think this one's going to be like a 20-17, 17-13 type of game. That's where the Broncos offense has been at the last couple of weeks. So that's going to be a big thing to keep an eye on, is if they can kind of wake up. So this is interesting. Like, I know it's kind of Sean Payton's style, and Bo Nix kind of plays with this kind of spread it around style too. But just watching that game last night, the Bengals, I think, were a reminder to a lot of coaches. It's like, if you have a $30 million wide receiver, or if you have 2 of them, throw them the damn football. Like, you're not paying him to just be a decoy. And Cortland Sutton has 4.5 targets per game. I think Courtland Sutton is really good, and he's played really well when he's gotten targeted. He got targeted 3 times last week, and I know he had Sauce Gardner on him, so maybe that's an exception type of matchup. But again, 4.5 average per game. It's not just last week. This to me feels a little bit like almost too many mouths to feed. I've talked about the problem that offenses can run into, like with too many mouths to feed. Maybe Bo Nix feels, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but just like, I think simplifying things down to the basics of like, hey, let's just run some back shoulders and slants and comebackers and hitch routes to Courtland Sutton and get this offense, have a base of what we want to do with the passing game. Because right now it's like 1 week Marvin Mims is getting a bunch of targets. Then it's Troy Franklin. Then it's Evan Ingram. And you have this 2nd round pick in RJ Harvey that you kind of feel this pressure to get involved. And it's just like, look, you gave Courtland Sutton the big contract this offseason. How about you use the guy? So I think there are answers there for Denver to turn it on offensively, especially in a game like this, where I think you are going to want to get the ball out quickly into the hands of your best wide receiver. So maybe we get a good Courtland Sutton week, or it's another week where you're like, hey, Sean Payton, you're amazing at this, but the offense isn't working. You got your best player out there. Maybe you should get him going. But yeah, that'll be fun to see from the Broncos side of things. As for the Giants, like, let's see what Jackson Dart's got again, man. Like last week, I definitely countered him out in Philadelphia against a Vic Fangio defense, and he played outstanding. So it's not impossible that he could go into Denver and have another good game here. But it's not going to be easy. This defense is going to take away the run game. This is I don't know the right analogy, but it's going to be 2 brick walls smashing into each other with Scadaboo with his physical mentality. But this defense is like, they are the Cam Scadaboo version of a defense. Like, they are super physical. They fly around. So I do think the Giants are going to have to win through the air in this game. And I just don't know that they're going to be able to move the ball a whole lot. So you're looking at the Giants defense and honestly placing a lot of expectations on them in this game. And this is the type of game where if the Broncos win 21-16, that would be a disappointment from me, from Shane Bowen as the defensive coordinator here. Like the Broncos have scored 11 and 19 points in the last 2 weeks. Like, you got to keep them under 20 points to give you a chance to win this game. Otherwise, it's going to be another one where it's like, look, the Giants defense isn't bad, but do you have a coordinator that's actually like getting the most out of this talent? So it is a lot of fun matchups in this one. I got to go with Denver. They've just been winning these close games, squeezing them out in the end. And that's pretty self-explanatory there. But, in a low-scoring defensive game, I'm not taking a 7-point spread like that.
So I'm with you on the Denver part. I'm going to be honest. I think the spread is pretty high here because Denver, they haven't looked great offensively. Outside of a game or two. And like you said, they put up 34 points the last 2 games total, by the way, of course, not each. They looked bad last week against the Jets. There's also, again, I bring up the human element. They're coming off of a game against the Jets in London all the way back to Denver. The Giants are coming off a mini bye against the Eagles. Now, the over-under to me at 41 is I don't understand that one. I don't understand that because, that's really high. Jackson Dart could have if they go out and play anywhere close to the level they did last week and they put up 27 plus points in Denver against this defense, there's going to be a lot of loud takes after this game. Yeah. But I think it's going to be, like you said, 41 is the over-under. Give me something along the lines of 2017 Denver win. I also, like I said, this spread and this over-under does not make sense to me. And by the way, if you are taking like any tips from me gambling, do not think that, hey, this is like, no, do not. But this is one to me where it screams Giants +7 and the under. And then it'll probably be like, 34-24 final, just something crazy with where Denver.
I know. So yeah, dude, you're preaching to the choir to me on that one. Like, it has been a tough year. To be fair, I'm actually, because I track my record and stuff with my Patreon picks, I'm actually positive against the spread, but I'm killing myself with these over-unders. I think I'm 1-7 on over-unders, which is just destroying the betting record right now. But yeah, it's been a crazy year. All
right, let's just go ahead and just rip a Band-Aid off here. I have chat starting to comment about some things. There was a tweet from Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. Kevin O'Connell announces Carson Wentz starting against the Birds, which I thought was going to happen all week. But there's kind of a part within this. Max Brosmer will serve as the backup, JJ McCarthy emergency third quarterback. So I have some comments right now about JJ McCarthy bust allegations and everything along these lines. And I'm going to be honest, dude, ever since the kickoff for the Falcons game started, my life has been hell in this regard. It's not fun. This is a game that I have talked to a lot of Birds fans about. I don't have high expectations for this game. This is a game to me where I think that it's going to be a lot of running football. If the Birds were smart, if Kevin Patullo is smart, I think that they should just pound the rock, and just let Saquon cook, because I don't think that the Vikings defense is going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley, especially if they get Saquon going early. The Vikings are 25th in rushing defense EPA per play. I'm honestly expecting a low passing attempt game from Jalen Hurts, and I will have my prize picks play of the week. I actually have Jalen Hurts less than 207.5 passing yards. I was surprised that it was that high to begin with. So I have that lower then. But within this, I think it's a low scoring game. I've said to one of my Birds buddies this week that 13-10 Eagles is going to be the final. For the Vikings, I have get the ball out quick. The Eagles edge rushers have been pretty bad this year. Now, Nolan Smith getting hurt, missing multiple games, obviously doesn't help. I also wrote down triple team Jalen Carter. Force the Philadelphia edge rushers to beat you. Do not let Jalen Carter take over the game, and try and run the football. This is going to be a sickos game. This is going to be it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be a lot of run the football. It's going to be a lot of Big Ten football. And I wouldn't be surprised to see each quarterback I wouldn't be surprised to see Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz combined for 3 interceptions. Not each, of course, but combined for 3 interceptions. Ultimately, I'm going with the Birds to cover the spread and win. And I think it's going to be 13-10, 17-13. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to enjoy this game. I'm not expecting a good game from Jalen Hurts. I am expecting a good game from Saquon Barkley. We'll see how everything goes, but give me Birds 17-13. And for any same game parlays, Birds cover, Saquon 100+ rushing yards. And I would also take the under within this as well.
All right. I'm more optimistic on this one than you are for the Vikes. I am. I think Brian Flores getting 2 weeks to prepare against a high school offense. I like that.
Very fair.
You got Cashman coming back. That'll help. That'll help the run defense a little bit. This is at US Bank, underratedly, maybe the best home field advantage in the league. I'm probably biased because I've been to that stadium a million times, but it is insane. This fan base does not like the Eagles. As someone that lives here, I can tell you that. You got the Carson Wentz revenge game factor. There's a lot of things I like in this game for Minnesota. Now, Eagles are playing pissed off, but look, dude, as much as the Vikings have had some inconsistencies on offense, they've been, if nothing else, under Carson Wentz, they've been just as adequate as the Eagles offense has been. So I think Brian Flores with 2 weeks to prepare against this offense is somewhat similar to the advantage that the Eagles talent base will have. Although, the Vikes got a lot of talent, obviously, with Justin Jefferson and Addison and all these guys. But in the trenches, especially with Jalen Carter and all that. I don't know, man. I'm not as pessimistic as you. I think this is going to be a good game. I think I'm actually leaning the home team, leaning the Vikes here. I don't know if the Eagles are going to fix this overnight against a Brian Flores defense. I don't. So I'm going to go Vikes here. I'm going to go 20, a little higher scoring than you thought too, 23-21 Vikes.
I hope you're right. 4-2 would be awesome. And then the thing is, here's my worst nightmare. You ready for this? Let me get it all out while we're here. We play the Birds Sunday. We play the Chargers Thursday. That's a tough game, especially in Birds, Chargers, couple days. And then I'm pretty sure it's the Lions right after that. So it's tough. So it's 3-5 is a very, very real scenario. Also, I have a super chat that I thought that you would enjoy. This is from Rodney. He says, Oregon and Eagles fan here. I'll end it all if anyone says Herbert is better than Jalen Hurts. He specializes in good stats and then fumbling. So I thought that would be an appropriate. Yeah. I just figured that people would enjoy hearing that one. But anyway.
Yeah. The Jalen Hurts QB5 talk over the offseason was always preposterous. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the game of the week, Patriots Titans in Nashville. All right. Here's the narrative on this one. If you're looking for anything, I did just get a super chat as well saying Wentz is about to throw for 500 yards against his old team. So we can sneak that in there coming off the Vikes.
Let's go.
But yeah, here with Titans Patriots, the narrative here, what's the more powerful force? The ding dong, the witch is dead force that is perpetually, it just perpetually elevates teams to like, they suck, they fire the coach, and they pull off the upset the next week. It's a powerful force, but is that more powerful than a Mike Vrabel revenge game? I don't think so. I don't either. I think Mike Vrabel is going to spread his FU energy through every single player of this team. I am all Patriots in this game, man. The Titans have looked so bad. The only reason they won a couple weeks ago was by the lone intervention of the football gods. They got their ass kicked by the Raiders last week, who I don't think look good. And even then it was 20-10 in the final score. It was total garbage time effort at the very end of the game. Unfortunately, Cam Ward's not playing well. The Patriots defense, I think, is doing a good job, man. And you can't slow down Drake May right now. He's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I am so blown away by his play the last couple of weeks. I thought he was great against the Bills. What he did against the Saints was even better. I mean, he could not miss, and he had a couple plays that got called back from penalties that wiped off a monster day for him. And outside of Jeffrey Simmons, like terrorizing a somewhat questionable interior offensive line, I don't see Tennessee stopping the Patriots. So for this to only be a 7-point spread in this game, I really like the Patriots to blow the doors off of the Titans in Nashville. And I don't know that Mike McCoy, we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I don't know that he is the rah-rah inspirational guy. I think he's the X's and O's analyst type that's maybe going to do some interesting stuff with Cam Ward to get him to play a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. By the way, the only hope I maybe had in this one was like, okay, you change the coach, you take a completely different game plan offensively. Maybe they just feed Calvin Ridley in this game, their best offensive player. He's out. So I don't see this being a close game at all. I'm going Patriots.
I'm with you. The only thing I think you could actually say with the spread is backup coach, like bump for the spread. Yeah. I mean, this team, this is not a good team. And to be honest, it would have been, it kind of would have been, I mean, just look, I've dumped on Brian Callahan a lot, but it would have been poetic for him to just take one last, just fist to the chops from Mike Vrabel in his final game. But they saved him from that. This is, look, I want better for Titans fans. I really do. This is just the worst of the worst right now. And you get beat by double digits last week by another 1-4 team that has struggled big time. You're playing a red hot team with a player that is playing top. I would personally say top 5. I guess for conservatively, I'll say top 7, but I would say top 5 at the position. Good luck. I'll just kind of leave it at that. And your number 1 receiver's out. Good luck. So let's go out to the desert. Cardinals, Packers. This is Marcus.
I wanted you to take this one because I wanted to hear your thoughts on this.
And then it'll be, so Vikings Chargers will not be on the preview next week, obviously, but the following week, Mark will take the Vikings game. So look, here's the deal with, I mean, I know you're obviously going to discuss at the end. There's a couple things that I do want to bring up immediately. Jacoby Brissett is expected to start. The Cardinals are 8th in defensive rushing EPA per play. So, are they going to be able to get Josh Jacobs going the way that he was last week? I sent Marcus a text last week during the Packers game. Basically, Josh Jacobs is so expletive good. Like it has to be nice to have Josh Jacobs. But the Cardinals have allowed just 100 yards rushing twice in the last 5 games. They are down bad at the running back position. Michael Carter / Bam Knight will be the running backs playing within this game. Marvin Harrison Jr., from what I saw, is expected to play, so that's a positive for the Cardinals. He did have a concussion last week. The Packers, they are starting to really get the ball rolling. 400 yards or more of offense in 3 of the last 4 games. The question that I had, does Josh Jacobs continue? And my question here that, again, we'll break down here in a second, can they play a full game? Because last week, I mean, Packers fans were understandably upset with how that game became a lot more close than it should have, especially with how they dominated that first half. And I want to say they outgained Cincy by maybe 140 yards in the first half. It was something.
It was like ridiculous. 200 yards to 30 like 60, yards right? Before a 2-minute drive for the Bengals. So with
can the Packers play a full game? One thing that I also do want to note, the Packers have won. This is not including the postseason. They've won 11 straight games versus the NFC West. I do expect that to continue. Now, I want to bring this part up, and I'm not going out and predicting this, and I'm also not trying to play both sides of the fence where, I'm going to be right one way or another, but I want to bring this possibility up here. There is a very real scenario. The Cardinals go from 2-0 to not winning a game until December, because here's their schedule. They play the Packers Sunday, which I think they will lose, especially with a backup quarterback and down to their 4th and 5th running back. So I think they'll lose that one. They have a bye week. Off the bye week, they play at Dallas on Monday night. I mean, they can win that one, but it's going to be tough. Then they go to Seattle on a short week. Then they play home against the 49ers, obviously tough, and then home against the Jags and at the Bucks. And then that's all their games before December. But I think there's a very real scenario they go from 2-0 to not winning a game until December. So we'll see. But I have a video coming out on the Cardinals tomorrow. So just a little plug. It'll be out 10 a.m. Eastern. Members will receive it first. But I'm kind of out on the Cardinals coaching staff at this point. And yeah, I'm out on this team. Everything will be broken down more in that video. But go ahead and take it away.
I think it's fair. I think their close game luck has to come back at some point. But they have been so beat up. I mean, last week they were out their quarterback, their top wide receiver, and their top 2 running backs. That's very tough. Good news for them to get Marv back, because I think if they have a chance in this game, it's taking notes from the last 2 outings against this Packers defense, where they just challenged the opponents of the Packers. Eventually the Bengals did this after messing around for 20 minutes, but they just found their best wide receivers and went straight at these corners, tried to get the ball out in under 2.5 seconds. And Jacoby Brissett's going to be the right quarterback to do that in this one, as opposed to Kyler. I don't think we're there has been a lot of noise this week. Look, the Cardinals receivers came down with 6 out of 8 contested catches last week for the Cardinals against a beat up Colts secondary that had none of their starters left. All these other games, Kyler's receivers have let him down tremendously. So I'm not going that far, but if you're talking about, you want the quarterback like a Joe Flacco last week, or like Dak Prescott did, that can attack a good pass rush and get the ball out to your best wide receiver, Jacoby would be that guy. Now, that has been the furthest thing from what the Cardinals have wanted to do schematically in this era, is get into drop back passing game, get the ball out quickly, and target Marvin Harrison. So it's going to have to require the Cardinals having the foresight to know how to attack this Packers defense. I'm betting against them having that foresight. I think they're going to come out and try to run the ball, try to do play action boots, try to get Trey McBride the ball, and they're going to have some success. But I really think the Packers defense plays well. And man, you can't understate how well Jordan Love looks right now. The offense, Matthew Golden, they're finally remembering that they spent a 1st-round pick on him. I don't know if Christian Watson's going to go in this game, but that's kind of scary. The fact that he's having this kind of miraculous recovery, and they're really excited about him, so much so that they extended him before he ever took the field again. The offensive line's getting healthy. I'm trying to hold myself back from saying Green Bay covers this time around. I said that the Bengals probably keep it within the 14.5 points last week, but I think I would have to go Green Bay to make Jacoby really uncomfortable in this one. And Marvin Harrison can make some plays. He's been inconsistent, but you're not talking about having T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, which is different. And it's not like the Bengals were, dominating this defense either, but they had some good moments. So, and he also can't take away, like, Joe Flacco's just straight up playing really well right now. So I'm gonna be the homer and take the Packers big in this one. But I feel like I've had a pretty good beat on the Packers, and I like them in this one.
Okay. And just before we transition to the next game, I do want to clarify. I don't think the Cardinals are going to lose every game from here to December, but I think there's a possibility of that because of how difficult the schedule is. I mean, I don't think their roster is a lot more talented than to lose 8 or 9 in a row, but it's a difficult schedule coming up. And I'm out on Jonathan Gannon, but
yeah, at this point, I mean, it's year 3 for Gannon, right?
It is.
At this point, you would want this defense to feel like,
right.
Like we didn't even mention their defense. At some point, you would have said in this game, you would have expected to say this defense has a chance to make things tough on Jordan Love.
Right.
And they just don't. Like, they just feel like the same kind of hapless unit right now. So, all right. I've got back-to-back kind of stinkers here, but Miami at Cleveland. It is for the X's and O's people,
one of the games.
It's one of the games of the week. For the X's and O's people, it's an interesting matchup because Cleveland, I think, as a defense, thrive when they can get you into that third and pass drop back situation. Whereas I think the Steelers showed a little bit last week. Like, if you can go play action, get the ball into the hands of playmakers quickly and distribute the ball. Like, I think the Browns defense isn't quite at their best in that type of game script. And that's exactly what the Dolphins offense wants to do. So, I continue to loosely defend Mike McDaniel. It's this really weird spot where it's like, I think they probably should fire him, but it's not really his fault. And this offense is vastly outperforming what you would expect given their roster talent. So it's like, he's kind of doing his job. And I don't think the team is quit on him either. Like, they've been in a lot of close games. I don't know. But I don't know that it's such a no-brainer to just fire Mike McDaniel is what I'm saying. It feels like they need to do it, but are you really going to find someone better?
Yeah.
It's, do you just go into the rebuild and rebuild around Mike McDaniel? I don't know. It's a tough one for me. But I do think, I think Miami can move the ball in this Browns defense, because I think just like the Steelers did last week, this is the type of scheme that can neutralize Myles Garrett through the X's and O's by getting that ball out super quick. But Cleveland can still make some plays. And Tua is, just take the Tua interception prop every single week. I mean, he's going to throw one every week, no matter who you're playing. It seems he is not playing well.
Did you see the weather this week?
No, I did not.
Oh, buddy. 60 degrees with apparently 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. Yeah. So.
With probably the 2 weakest armed starting quarterbacks in the NFL going against each other. So the Judkins, this was going to be my next point, but now that you brought up the weather, if Quinshon Judkins doesn't get 30 carries in this game, I think Stephen Kafansky has lost his freaking mind. I mean, last week, I couldn't believe it. They kept it close against Pittsburgh. It was 9-3 in the second half, and they refused to give the ball to Quinshon Judkins. It's like, he's been your offense. What are we doing here? And look at the Steelers' run defense this week. It's not like they're dominant either. So that was pretty freaking crazy. Hopefully, Kevin Stefanski can learn from that and give the rock to Judkins a little bit here. But I would definitely say Quinshon Judkins rushing attempts, whatever that number is.
Right.
I'm going higher on that one. But it's a clash of very different teams. The only other thing I wrote down is can Dylan Gabriel have a little bit more of a spark against one of the worst defenses in the NFL? But with that weather, it's going to be tough. So this will be an ugly one. I'm gonna take the Dolphins though. I think the team speed against this defense can cause some problems, and I don't fully trust Gabriel at this point, especially in that weather.
I agree. Also, the exact tweet is from Andy Slater. He's a personality in Miami. He said, Dolphins Browns could have 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts. The National Weather Service said, quote, it's certainly a system worth keeping an eye on, end quote. As a stronger storm may materialize, current forecast also in addition is 94% chance of rain and 36 mile per hour gusts that could get up to 50 to 60. So I'm going Devon. I'm going to have a little SGP on this probably. Devon Achane and Quinshon both 100+ yards, and whatever happens. So it's going to be an ugly game all around. But
wow. All right.
Anyway,
all right.
Let's go to the opposite of this. I'm also, whatever the over under is at 12:45. I'm going to take that as well. I'm going Commanders Cowboys. Or did you want to go?
Oh, sorry. I heard opposite of it, and I was like, oh, nice weather in LA with an offensive battle between the Colts and the Chargers. Sorry.
It is opposite weather because it's going to be inside for Commanders Cowboys. So
okay.
Within this game here for the Commanders Cowboys, the very first thing that I have written down here is high scoring. I have questions about both defenses. But what I do want to say for the Commanders is I think there's a chance to really get back on track. I mean, last week the Panthers and Rico Dowdle, they absolutely took the Cowboys lunch money, and there's a chance that Jaden Daniels and Bill Krosky Merritt really get going, and Terry McLaurin is out again. So I really like the idea of again, Bill Krosky Merritt, whatever his number is for the rushing yards. Just I like the idea of going over for that. But I also have questions with Washington's defense as a whole, and Dak Prescott is playing at a really high level right now. It's unfortunate that the Cowboys defense is, not playing at a high level. And there was a stat last week that I had. It was whatever Dak had. It was like 261 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and a passer rating of 121.8. Since the start of the 2021 season, there were 96 games that quarterbacks have had over the past, 5 years. And their records in those games were 85, 10, and 1. Obviously, the Cowboys lost last week, and the only tie was with the Cowboys and Packers a couple weeks ago, to give you an idea of how Dak's luck, for lack of better wording, has been this year. I am going to choose to believe that the Commanders are going to, rally the troops a bit, if you will. I trust their team a little more than I try, or their defense a little more than I trust the Cowboys defense at this point in time. And I also would like to, point out that Sam Cosmi is going to be back for this game. So that's obviously a huge addition. So no pun intended with the huge addition, but really looking forward to seeing Jaden Daniels and Bill Krosky Merritt all behind Sam Cosmi, and then even see how much Debo is used within this game, and how much they use him running the football. And then I think that the Washington is going to be able to put up 25 plus points, and like everybody else has against the Cowboys, and ultimately come out of Big D with a win.
By the way, I am now seeing Dallas as the favorite in this game. And I don't think it's crazy. Like we were saying before the show, like Washington they are the definition of mid. And man, I'm tempted to take Dallas here as the home team. The problem with this one is there's so much injury fluff still to sort out. I don't think we know if Terry McLaurin's going to play yet.
Terry's out.
Did you say that? Sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
I missed that. Okay. Man. Yeah, I'll stick with Dallas as the pick. I was going to say I'm hammering the over in this one with 54 points, which is already crazy high. But I've had such a bad run with the over-unders that I think the highest over-under I should probably stay away. But if Terry were playing to take advantage of these corners, that would be huge. I'm just unimpressed by I'm unimpressed by the overall everything in Washington, just roster talent across the board, man. Like I don't trust the pass rush. The linebackers have taken a huge step back this year. The secondary is struggling. I'll go Dallas. Is CeeDee Lamb back, or is he?
He is back. He is back, baby. He is back. We got
absolutely. You got CeeDee Lamb
back.
back, not just him, but the offensive line's back. Tyler Booker and Tyler Smith are limited participants all week as well. So
I do have one other thing to add. One other thing to add. Trayvon Diggs. I don't know. Look, I'm just going to report what was said. He had an injury sustained at his house. He had a concussion. He's out for this game. I don't know if you saw that.
Been there, man. Probably hit his head on a chandelier. Walked into the microwave door.
No further comment from myself, but he's out. So
yeah, I don't think that might, it does make me think though, is this may be a little bit off the beaten path, but the rookie corner,
Trey Amos.
I don't think he's healthy, right?
Are we talking about Trey Amos?
No, Siobhan Ravel. He hasn't been healthy yet. Yeah, that's a bummer. I would have loved to see him get activated for this one. But anyway, yeah, I'm actually going to go Dallas. They're very healthy offensively as the home team. They've been just kind of this roller coaster this year, but should be a fun one. Should be a fun one. All right. Let's do that game that I threw up there earlier because I'm excited about this one. I jumped the gun on this one because I'm excited to talk about it. But big matchup in the AFC. Like both these teams, like obviously the Colts are 5-1 right now. We're going to find out if they can kind of continue that dominance. But I expect this to have like implications potentially for the wild card. I know the Colts are in a position to potentially win their division as well. But obviously things can change in this league. I'm not saying it is or isn't going to happen, but big game nonetheless. And for the Chargers, they are getting healthy. Like the last 3 weeks, this Chargers team has not been super impressive, but I'm not willing to hold that against them when this week you have Joe Alt returning. They have had to battle through 2 brutal offensive tackles being out there. Getting Joe Alt back, just that way you can chip help your right tackle, give chip help to your right tackle. You can focus a little bit more on one weakness as opposed to having the 2 just overwhelm you. It just completely changes the math. And then you look at Charvarius Ward, questionable right now, but I would be stunned if he played, suffering his second concussion in 4 weeks. I would imagine that they're not going to play him within the week like that. This Colts secondary is down bad, and the Chargers have one of the best wide receiving cores in the league right now. So I think we get a ton of points from the Chargers side of things, and no reason to think the Colts aren't going to put up a bunch of points because that's what they've done against everybody this year. So I like a lot of points in this game. The big challenge for me, I am looking at the Colts defense to see if they can maybe slow down the Chargers in this one, because that is ultimately what's going to decide where the Colts land this year. Just what is their ceiling? Counting on Daniel Jones to win 30-27 every week, there's going to be a limit to that at some point, I think. We saw a little bit of that with the Cardinals last week. He got away with a pretty bad turnover worthy play that Budda Baker just dropped last week that probably changes a lot of the narratives on the Colts if Budda Baker just catches that ball. So I've been pro Colts from the early offseason here, but I like the Chargers in this one, man. They also get Khalil Mack back. I don't really trust the Colts defense they might get Khalil Mack back. I don't want to jump the gun on that and get Chargers fans too excited, but he's practiced both days in full and is eligible to come off the IR this week. So, yeah, I like the Chargers in like a 34-30 game in this one.
So first off, kind of disappointed you didn't mention one of the biggest things of this game. Did you see the Chargers uniforms for this game?
Oh God, the SpongeBob unis.
They are. Look, I love my guy Herb, but these uniforms are amongst the worst you will see. I'm sorry, they are awful. They again, I know Marcus, you're in the same like belief here. We don't really have like true like loud like I'm gonna scream from the top takes, especially about like Dak Prescott's legacy. But look, these uniforms abysmal. Throw them out. Just the Chargers already have elite uniforms. Just don't need to overcomplicate. Don't need to figure out a new way to skin a chicken or whatever the phrase is. Look, this is going to be a fun game. I am very much looking forward to seeing the Chargers have an actual, offensive tackle back out there, because it's been tough out there for the past couple of weeks. I greatly worry about the Colts secondary. They've had at least 3 or 4 guys go down for the year since the start of the season. And that adds up over the course of time, especially when you have a really good quarterback on the road at SoFi. I am going to go with the Chargers to win this game. I think this will be maybe not as entertaining as last night, because last night's game was really, really fun. But I think it'll be something along the lines of 27-24. So I do like the Chargers to win. And I also, it's only 1.5 points. So I guess you could say I like them to cover, but I think 27-24 is a good score for this game.
Yeah. All right. You're up next.
We're going to stay out in the California. We're going to go up I-5 to the Bay Area. Falcons Niners. And by the way, for anybody that likes to comment every time, it's Santa Clara. I know it's not truly San Francisco because the stadium is forever away from the actual city of San Francisco. But anyway, we have Falcons Niners. And last week, by the way, I did say that I think the Falcons are going to be a difficult game for the Bills. They won. Unfortunately, I didn't actually place an actual wager on the Falcons because I got into the app and I was like, man, do I actually want to place
You're a coward.
Right. Yeah. I was like, do I actually want to place this against the Bills? But so anyway, we did call it on the pod though. But this is going to be kind of a strength on strength, because Bijan Robinson he's obviously playing at a very, very high level. And I've been kind of doing this more this year, where if somebody's playing at the level Bijan is, I give them their flowers 100%. And I say that they are a Hall of Fame talent right now, the way they're playing. And I obviously don't get into the longevity discussion, but right now they're playing at a Hall of Fame level. So credit where it's due. But the 49ers are also really good against the run. And they obviously placed a tremendous amount of emphasis on stopping the run this year, because they couldn't stop the run last year. But now we have a different discussion with the 49ers of, okay, this is game one without not only Nick Bosa, but Fred Warner. And not having both players obviously will, it's not a crazy thing here to say or a mind-boggling statement, but it's going to affect them big time in the long run. So I'm very eager to see how the 49ers go about stopping not only Bijan, but Drake London and Michael Penix without both of those players. And one thing that I also wanted to note was the Falcons, believe it or not, are 4th in defensive EPA per play. And specifically, I did want to note this, the Falcons pass rush in prime time, for whatever reason, they absolutely killed us back in week 2. They killed the Bills last week. It just seems to be on a different level in prime time. So I did at least want to note that. Jalen Walker is also out for the Falcons, so that needs to be noted too. But Nick Bosa, despite not playing for several weeks now, is tied for 7th on the team in pass rushing snaps, yet is 3rd in pressures. So that's not good. Obviously for the 49ers, San Francisco's favored by 2.5. I think I'm going to go with the Falcons to win this game. I think I'm going to go with them to win outright. And I think it's going to be close. Definitely a lower scoring game. I would say the Falcons defense, like we said, 4th in defensive EPA per play. Jeff Ulbrich had some things happen to him this offseason, but he's doing a good job so far for the Falcons. And even that 30-0 loss against the Panthers was not on him. So at least, how that game was played. But I'm going to go with the Falcons to win and improve to 4-2.
Yeah, I like the Falcons in this one too. I was just looking. Has it been announced which quarterback is starting for the Niners in this game?
They're pointing to Mac.
Pointing to Mac, and it looks like Kittle might be back. He's been practicing this week.
I love Kittle.
Yeah, so that could certainly help. I mean, it does feel like they kind of need a spark offensively. They've been riding some pretty damn thin margins with the whole Mac Jones thing. Just especially with the playmakers he's had. So that could be huge. And for the run game too, you can't understate, the Niners run game hasn't been particularly efficient. It's been fine, but I mean, Kittle just opens everything's up. So if Kittle plays, that could be an X factor that, has you lean back towards the Niners a little bit here. I'm a little interested too. Like both these defensive coordinators are intimately familiar with each other's defenses. Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich have been guys for like 10 years. Obviously with the Jets, but it goes back even further than that, it feels like. But, what sort of little, secrets are they telling Kyle Shanahan and Zach Robinson to maybe scheme up some pretty exciting plays here? And obviously Shanahan's always doing creative stuff, and I've been really intrigued by this new Zach Robinson wrinkle where they're just playing Charlie Warner as a running back and using Bijan in and out. Like there could be some like coverage busted touchdown type weirdness in this game on one side or the other, if not both. So it's going to be an interesting one. I keep going against Atlanta and getting bit by it. Atlanta's number 1 in defensive DVOA, which is insane to me. I'm going to go with them in this one, but it's Sunday Night Football. This will be a hell of a battle. I would not touch this bet on it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah,
I was gonna say if you go against them again and they win, you might have to do the Dirty Bird on Dirty Bird next week. You might have to just do it for the ratings.
Well, for that reason, I will not go against them. I will pick them to win, so that I don't have to do the Dirty Bird. All right. Man, we got some freaking battles this week, dude. Houston versus Seattle. I am so excited for this one. Houston's kind of been my younger sibling or my youngest child or whatever this year, where it's like I really want them to succeed. I thought they would be really good this year, but I was just so disappointed, obviously, with how they started. But going against this Seahawks offense, this is going to be a really fun battle, like of just kind of like what's legit here. Like Sam Darnold and JSN going toe-to-toe against this defense, this pass rush. I'm just excited to see it, man. I could see it going either way. I mean, Darnold just continues to make all the throws. He's like, if you look at like any metric, the dude has been the best quarterback in the NFL this year. And I'm not saying that to like rub it in your face or anything, but also
no hard feelings.
Saying it to rub it in your face. But he's been like, if you went back in time and talked about Sam Darnold as a prospect and just told me in 2018 or whatever that year was, that Sam Darnold was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in the year 2025, I'd be like, yeah, that makes total sense. He's just had a very weird path to get to that point. So like, this is another huge test for Sam Darnold because he has all of this cloudy background with how he's played on the field for so many years. Like, so many people are going to doubt him for so long. Like, these are the types of moments that Darnold needs to continue to have so that we can really prop him up and celebrate him at the level that he's playing at. So it's just a huge test against this defense. And then inversely, the Texans coming off a bye here. We talked a lot about how the first 2 weeks they went against two of the best, like, stunting defensive coordinators with the Rams and the Bucks.
Yep.
And they threw the kitchen sink at this offensive line that had all these moving pieces. And in the first 2 weeks of the year, they could not handle it. Like, they were giving up so much pressure. It was unwatchable offense. Last couple of weeks, the offensive line has at least settled down enough that they can throw the ball. CJ Stroud was unbelievable against the Ravens. Granted, the Ravens were down as bad as it gets, but still good to see, like, that CJ Stroud is still in there for sure. So this is a huge test now for the offensive line against Mike Macdonald, who's right in that top 3 or 4 as a defensive coordinator as far as running those twists, can try to confuse you and win with the scheme just as much as the Jimmies and Joes up front. So you've got, the Jake Andrews is the new center in there. They've seemingly settled in to this offensive line. Huge test for them on that side of the ball. And if they can block, you're going to have an opportunity, I think, for CJ Stroud to have some special moments in this game. So, 2 and 3 Texans against the Seahawks. It might not look like this super powered matchup, but I'm really excited for this one. On a hunch, I kind of want to just go with Houston, but it's really tough, man. And I feel like I've been pretty anti-Seattle. I've been certainly giving them their flowers, so to speak, in the last week or so, but I feel like I keep picking against them. I'm going to do it again, though. I'm sorry, Seahawks fans. I just have a kind of a gut feeling that Houston kind of has a statement win and starts to look the part a little bit more here.
I'm the opposite. I've been on the Seahawks all year. I've loved everything. I gave them an A+ draft grade dating all the way back to then. I've been a huge Macdonald guy since they hired him. I think they're going to win this game. Look, there's a chance in this game that the Rams lose in London to the Jags. There's a chance the 49ers lose on Sunday night, both which would put the Rams and 49ers at 4-3. Seattle could be staring a full 5-2, a full 1-game lead heading into the week 8 bye if they win this game. Based on that, I think they're also a better team. Now the Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson, that can change the game significantly, but the Texans secondary, specifically Derek Stingley, corner play is volatile every year. We've seen that this year. Sam Darnold and JSN are on another level right now, and Clint Kubiak obviously did not have a good week 1 game against the 49ers. That was just a very poor all around game, but right now the offense is poetry in motion. JSN he had a blaze out route last week that was phenomenal. There was also a play under center last week, which I would love to talk about for like 10 minutes about why under center play should come back. But there was a play under center where they did a play action fake. It sucked the linebackers down. Cooper Kupp was running he was kind of running a mid cross right behind him. And Darnold just slung it right by several linebackers' ears, the ear holes, if you will. And it was a gain of like 27 yards. The Seahawks are clicking right now. And I know the Texans are coming off a bye. I know the Texans have, I think it's in the last 5 quarters, because they outscored the Titans 20-0 in week, I guess that would have been 4 or 5, whatever. They're outscoring their opponents like 64-6 or 64-10 in the last 5 quarters. But I'm all aboard the Seattle train. I'm all aboard the Sam Darnold train. I'm happy for Sam, and I think they're going to improve to 5-2.
I do think it's interesting. You mentioned that week 1 Niners game, and last week the Seahawks offense did at least struggle in the first half against the Jags.
Yeah, I worded that wrong. Sorry. I worded the like it's smooth sailing. There were parts where it was smooth sailing.
Oh, they absolutely have been. But I was just thinking, this is the same system there for the most part. The Robert Saleh scheme, D'Amico Ryans, and there's a lot of that with what Anthony Campanelli does in Jacksonville too. So there could be something there. D'Amico deserves a ton of respect. This is a clash of maybe Brian Flores is in that convo too, but like maybe the 2 best and Steve Spagnuolo always, but you could certainly tell me that Mike Macdonald and D'Amico Ryans are the 2 best defensive coordinators in the league. And I don't think you're crazy for it. I think you got to still go to Flores in that, but Yeah, I'm curious. While Seattle has been clicking, it's been a lot of high difficulty, deep completions to JSN. You do have some good ball, like corners with ball skills with Houston to take those away. And schematically, what can D'Amico do to basically force someone other than JSN to kill you? If they can do that, what else does Seattle have to bring to the table here? So it's just there's so much in this game. I'm really excited.
High level football, baby. You better stay up for it. Not you, of course, but like you better. Good football Monday night.
Okay, Mom.
So we have Bucks Lions. Also, by the way, I did have one comment here. Definitely no bias for my respect for Darnold. So I'm biased if I'm jealous, like because of the success Darnold's having, but I'm also biased because of like he played for my team. So like I'm in a situation where I can't win. But anyway,
yeah,
we have Bucks Lions. This is gonna be this is a hell of a Monday night, just dual 2 games. But Lions are favored by 5.5. I think that's a lot for this game. But Tampa's allowed just 100 yards rushing once in all of 2025. And obviously the Lions have an insane running back duo and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Baker has the most passing touchdowns on 20-plus yard throws this year with 8. No other quarterback has 4, to give you an idea of how much he's been cooking. But the Bucks are a little banged up. And, there's questions.
Little.
Yeah, sorry. But anyway, Mike Evans he was coming back to practice this week. The Ibuka hamstring is still out there. Unfortunately, we have not seen the big 3 in Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka all on the field at the same time. So that is definitely something to note. Terrion Arnold did practice this week, which I know it was expected for him to be out a lot longer, but I think he's going to come back this week. And the Lions lost last week, 30-17 to the Chiefs. They have now, I'm not going to put you on the spot, I'll just say it, but they have now gone 50 games without back-to-back losses.
I was going to say.
So it's which somebody said it was the longest streak since the Packers between like 2018 and 2022 for that long without back-to-back losses. I am going to go with the Lions to win, but this is going to be this is going to be a very fun game. This is everything that Monday Night Football is going to be about. There should be a lot of points. There should be a lot of excitement within this game. Brian Branch is out for this game, obviously because of what happened at the end of last week's game with the Chiefs. But I think the Lions are going to win, and I think it's going to be 30-27, 31-28, somewhere in there. I would take the over personally in this game, whatever it is, because there's going to be points. Points palooza is the word I'm looking for. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing kind of strength on strength with the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery versus the Bucks run defense. Like we said, they've been really good this year, and how Todd Bowles is going to stop this team, because what is not, at least I haven't seen brought up, the Lions obviously went 15-2 last year, and everybody remembers the Buffalo game in which Buffalo won 48-42. It was a very fun game near the end of the year, but the Lions' only other loss last year in the regular season was to the Bucks. Now, that was a very frustrating game for the Lions because in a lot of ways they beat themselves. There was poor clock management within that game, and it was a very just funky game. But Todd Bowles kept them out of the end zone, and we'll see how that plays out in this game. But the Lions, I'm not going to bet against them to go back-to-back losses, especially at home on Monday night, Detroit. And then for the city of Detroit, the Jared Goff chants are going to be going. I'm going Lions to win.
While you were talking, I went in and took the Lions to cover this spread. I'm going to have a little bit of a take here. I think this is a blowout win for the Detroit Lions. Everything is pointing Bucks right now. Like, this was a hard week to do power rankings. I tried to kind of like maybe push back on the Bucks a little bit. Like, you just can't undersell how bad these injuries are. I did the same thing when the Niners beat the Rams. It's like, hey, great win, but look at the where the roster's at right now. I mean, for Tampa, who's moving the ball in this game? Like, all these receivers are beat up. Are any of the guys playing? Are any of the?
I think Mike Evans is. I think
Mike Evans is
wrong,
playing.
But I think he's coming back.
But it's a hamstring, right? So it's like, is he going to be at full speed? Is it going to be one of those deals where it pops back? That scares the crap out of me. It's good that he's playing. But dude, Ali McNeil's coming back for Detroit in this one. The Bucks offensive line, Baker has been running for his ever-loving mind. I can just picture the Aiden Hutchinson strip sack in this game. There's been so many moments where Baker's, making these heroic plays. He's capable of it, but I just worry he's hit he's hit the positive outcome on every single chaotic play of the entire season. I think the Lions are going to get a couple in this one. And the Bucs pass rush, man, it's not very good. Vita Vea had a dominant kind of outlier performance last week, but I think Jared Goff's going to have time to throw. And this really does just come back to what you said about the Lions coming off a loss. Like, there is something about them at home on a primetime game. I don't know. Maybe I'm going a little overboard here, taking Lions big here, but I feel relatively confident in this one, and I will have to eat crow if I'm wrong next week. But I'm gonna go Lions here, 31-20 in this one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that will wrap up the Week 7 preview. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. I did have one quick super chat. Somebody said KOC cares about his record not developing McCarthy. I personally disagree. But the JJ situation is, I'm going to make a video on that. I'll just kind of respond to the super chat with that. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of angles examined within that video. But it's a frustrating situation. But that will wrap up the Week 7 preview. Marcus, any last thoughts?
No, really fun show. Thank you everybody for joining today. Really an exciting slate of football this weekend. And thank you so much for watching. I will quickly do a plug. I did drop a Thursday Night Football recap plus a mailbag episode. I have a second YouTube channel with some of the podcast episodes that I don't post on the main channel. So it's either on the audio feed for the Fully Inflated Football podcast, or you can go check it out on that other YouTube channel. But
absolutely,
that's all I got.
And I'll also say, please like the stream. Please like the video. If you enjoyed, helps tremendously. And I know Marcus and I very much appreciate that. So until next time, as always, enjoy football this weekend, and please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.
See you, everybody.
Boom, baby.